All right, it is time to talk about E3 2013 EA's conference. As you know, in the last video we talked about Xbox and what they did right, what they did wrong, and all the things that they showed off. This time we will be talking about EA, their sports games, and all the other stuff that they ended up showing off. I unfortunately missed the first few minutes of the conference. I was out driving, doing some errands, and realized what time it was. I was like, ah, crap, I gotta get back. But from what I know, unless my people I was talking to are trolling me, Peggle 2 was announced, and then they showed off some Titanfall, and then they showed off Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront obviously is a big one. People really love those games. I've played Battlefront 2, I think, a while ago, and enjoyed it. It's a very cool game, a lot of fun. So I'm very excited to see what this new Battlefront will be like, especially because, if I remember correctly, the trailer showed Hoth, and that could be really cool. Next, Criterion came on stage to show the new Need for Speed. I personally love what Criterion has been doing with the Need for Speed franchise. They've definitely revitalized it in a way that previous titles were starting to lack. So, Need for Speed Rivals is going to be coming out. It's got a single-player campaign that can actually integrate into a multiplayer campaign. So, an example is, say you're playing online, or say you're online, and you're in your single-player game, and you're driving along, and there's a cop. You could get put into a multiplayer match randomly where that cop is another multiplayer person, and then they can start chasing you. And then once that's over, you go back to your single-player campaign. I like that. I think it's a cool idea. It would definitely bring a lot of challenge to things. After that, they showed Dragon Age Inquisition, which will be an open-world Dragon Age game where you are going to be, as the name suggests, leading an Inquisition. I have not played any of the Dragon Age games. I love BioWare, and I have Dragon Age Origins. Again, it's just a title I have not gotten to. I have so many games I need to get to, and I don't have the time. But I have it, and I will get to it eventually. After that, they did focus on a lot of sports stuff. They focused on Madden. They're going to be doing a lot with Madden in terms of having more freedom with your characters, obviously better physics. NBA 14, they had better physics as well. They seem to emphasize a new dribbling physics engine, where in previous games what would happen is when the ball contacted the hand of the player, it would actually switch models so that it was the model that was holding the ball, and then when it would do a dribble, it would switch back. In this version, the ball is completely independent of the player, which gives a much more realistic look to it, which, if you play any older game, you'll actually notice that. Especially, I went back and played NBA Live 2000, and it's very clear that once the ball hits the hand, it changes models. And obviously, that's an older game, but you can still see that they've been doing it up until this game. FIFA 14 was shown off. The new UFC game was talked about, but not really shown. The partnership with EA and UFC was probably more emphasized than anything in terms of the game. So, Battlefield 4 was shown off again, but this time they ended up showing the 64-player co-op campaign or co-op series, which blew my mind. I was not expecting something as epic as what happened. They had 64 players on stage, all playing together, and the best part of it was there was a small team going through this skyscraper, taking out enemies, and then there were people on the ground shooting up at the skyscraper to try to bring it down, and they ended up having someone with smart glass fire a bunch of missiles down on those people, and then as they were starting to go to the top of the skyscraper, the entire skyscraper started to tilt, and they jumped out of the window, they got their parachutes, they went to the ground, looked back up, and the skyscraper literally fell to pieces. If there is one thing DICE does really well with the Battlefield series, it is having incredibly destructible environments. And it was probably the most impressive thing I've seen in terms of destruction. So if you have not seen it, you should definitely go YouTube it and check it out, because that part especially was just... There's also going to be a new commander mode where you can actually take an RTS-style view of the game from tablets, which I think is pretty cool. I love RTS games, so anything where you can play a Command and Conquer style game, that'll be cool. The final announcement they showed at EA's conference that I think blew everybody away was Mirror's Edge 2. Obviously, people who have played the first game have been wanting a second one. It's not actually, we found out later, it's not actually a sequel. It is, in fact, a remake. I really don't care because the game was amazing, and I'd love to play another version of it, even if it is a remake. So, Mirror's Edge, or the remake. If you loved Mirror's Edge, it's Mirror's Edge. It's Mirror's Edge. It's Mirror's Edge. And that pretty much does it for EA. They pretty much just had a lot of talk. They didn't show a whole lot. They did talk about a Need for Speed movie, which, nah. And then other than that, it was pretty much everything I just mentioned. So what did EA do right? They showed off some really cool games. They showed off Star Wars Battlefront, they showed off Need for Speed Rivals, and they showed off, again, that amazing Battlefield 4 level with the 64 players. That was absolutely jaw-dropping. What they did wrong, I don't want to say that this was a wrong thing. It's wrong for me because I'm not a huge sports person. I play the occasional sports game, but there's a lot of people out there who play a lot of sports games, so that's not necessarily in terms of what they did wrong for everybody. For me, I think they spent too much time on sports games. It's not for everybody. It's not for me. I don't mind hearing about sports games here and there, but I think there was a little too much emphasis on it when we could have heard about other games. So again, if you want to leave a comment on what you thought about the EA conference below, we'd love to hear your opinions on it. So thank you for watching. The next one that we're going to be talking about is Ubisoft.